The coffee hit Maren Vale before she understood what was happening. 1 second, she was placing a porcelain cup on a table in one of Chicago's most expensive restaurants. The next, burning liquid splashed across her hair, cheek, neck, and black vest. Maren dropped to one knee with a cry as the cup shattered beside her. Above her stood Lenora Ashford, elegant wife of billionaire CEO Callum Ashford, still gripping the saucer with fury in her eyes. "That should teach you not to embarrass me," she hissed. Then the restaurant doors opened. Callum walked in, saw his wife standing over the trembling waitress, and stopped cold. If you believe kindness and second chances still matter in a world that can be cruel, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Loyal Hearts. And tell us where you're watching from today. Your city, state, or country. It means so much to see how far these stories travel. Maren was 26 and had learned to survive by staying quiet. She worked double shifts at Bellamy House, where a single dinner sometimes cost more than her monthly rent. Every paycheck mattered because her widowed mother, Celeste, had lost her tailoring shop in a fire, and Maren had quietly taken responsibility for most of their bills. She was proud, careful, and unfailingly polite. That afternoon, Bellamy House was hosting a charity luncheon organized by Lenora, who publicly raised money for women rebuilding their lives after financial hardship. From the moment Lenora arrived, nothing was good enough. The flowers were too pale, the water too warm, the seating cards crooked. She insulted a busser and sent back a salad because a tomato touched the dressing. Maren kept working. Trouble began when Lenora accused her of spilling coffee on a designer handbag. Maren knew she had not touched it. Several guests had seen Lenora knock the cup with her own elbow while reaching for her phone. Still, Lenora demanded that Maren admit fault. Maren apologized for the inconvenience but refused to confess to something she had not done. Manager Dorian Pike rushed over, terrified of losing the Ashford family's business. Instead of asking what happened, he whispered that Maren should apologize properly and accept whatever Lenora wanted. Maren looked around at the guests who had witnessed the truth. Most lowered their eyes. Nobody wanted trouble with a powerful billionaire's wife. Lenora lifted a fresh cup and told Maren she needed to learn humility. Before Maren could step back, the coffee flew. Heat exploded across her skin. Tears came instantly, partly from pain and partly from the humiliation of dozens of strangers watching her collapse. That was when Callum crossed the room. He ignored Lenora's frantic explanation and crouched beside Maren. He removed his suit jacket and placed it around her shoulders, then asked for cool water, clean towels, and the first aid kit. For the first time, someone powerful enough to challenge Lenora chose to help the woman on the floor, instead of protect the one standing above her. Lenora snapped that she was his wife. Callum looked at her and said being his wife did not give her the right to humiliate another human being. Dorian tried to call it a misunderstanding, but Callum asked whether the restaurant had security cameras. The manager went pale. Minutes later, footage appeared on a tablet. It showed Lenora knocking over the first cup herself, Maren refusing to lie, and Lenora deliberately throwing the second cup. Maren expected Callum to offer money and make the embarrassment disappear. Instead, he asked what she wanted. She did not want revenge. She wanted employees protected from abusive customers regardless of wealth. She wanted managers to stop trading staff dignity for wealthy clients. She wanted Lenora to understand that charity meant nothing if kindness vanished when cameras were gone. Callum turned to Dorian and said Ashford Holdings would cancel every corporate event at Bellamy House unless the restaurant adopted a written zero-abuse policy protecting its workers. Then he told Lenora that company funding for her charity foundation would be suspended until an independent board reviewed its leadership. Lenora stared at him in disbelief, accusing him of choosing a waitress over his own wife. Callum answered that protecting cruelty from consequences would be the real betrayal. Later, after a nearby doctor examined Maren's burns and confirmed they were painful but superficial, Callum sat across from her in a private dining room. He apologized, not as though Lenora were a child whose behavior belonged to him, but for all the times wealthy people ignored cruelty because confronting it was inconvenient. Maren admitted she had almost quit that morning. Her hours had been cut, her mother's bills were rising, and she had begun to believe dignity was something poor people simply could not afford. 2 weeks later, Bellamy House introduced the new staff protection policy. Dorian was removed from management after other employees reported similar incidents, and Maren was offered a supervisory position. She accepted only after confirming that the new protections applied to everyone, from dishwashers to senior servers. Callum never used the incident as publicity. His marriage to Lenora entered a private separation, while her foundation announced a full leadership review. Lenora eventually issued a public apology, but Maren cared less about the words than the changes that followed. Months later, Celeste reopened a small tailoring studio, with help from a community recovery grant Maren had discovered. Maren began training restaurant teams on conflict response and workplace dignity. She slowly realized that the worst moment of her career had uncovered a strength she had spent years hiding. She had always imagined courage as something loud and fearless. Now she knew courage could be as simple as refusing to lie when someone more powerful demanded it. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who still believes decency matters, and subscribe to Loyal Hearts. Your support helps stories of dignity, compassion, and second chances reach people who may need them. Before the ending, please comment one word you believe every person deserves to receive, no matter their job, income, or status. A year after the coffee incident, Maren stood near the entrance of Bellamy House as a nervous new waitress carried her first tray across the dining room. The young woman nearly bumped into a guest and began apologizing in panic. Maren steadied the tray and smiled. Mistakes happen, but no one here gets to make you feel small. Sunlight poured through the same windows where Maren had once knelt in tears. She touched the faint mark near her collarbone and realized it no longer reminded her of humiliation. It reminded her of the day silence ended, and of a truth she would never forget. Wealth may command a room, but character is what changes one.